Another shock to the oil market as the UAE declares it's leaving OPEC. Trump says Iran is in a state of collapse. Iran says it's still ready to fight. So who's telling the truth? Here's what you need to know.
We have militarily defeated that particular opponent, and we're never going to let that opponent ever. Charles agrees with me even more than I do. We're never going to let that opponent have a nuclear weapon.
King Charles probably didn't imagine he'd be dragged into this. The British monarch's been touring the US partly in an attempt to heal ties between the two allies after the UK refused to help the US reopen the Strait of Hormuz by force. Trump lashed out at Prime Minister Keir Starmer as well as other European leaders and said he might walk away from NATO altogether. That wasn't helped when the German Chancellor said this on Monday.
Ich erkenne im Augenblick nicht welchen strategischen Exit. Da wird eine ganze Nation gedemütigt durch die iranische Staatsführung. Vor allem durch diese sogenannten Revolutionsgarden.
You can imagine how the US president reacted. He said Merz doesn't know what he's talking about. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, the whole world would be held hostage. Trump insists that the reason a deal hasn't been made is that Iran is in a state of collapse and that they're trying to figure out their leadership situation. There are lingering questions over who exactly is making decisions inside Iran, especially since its new supreme leader still hasn't been seen in public. Many suspect it's the generals, not the clerics or the civilian government, and their message is that Iran is armed and ready. So are we moving further away from a deal? US media is reporting that Trump has chosen to prolong the blockade instead of resuming bombing or walking away from the conflict. On Tuesday, the US Navy boarded another vessel in the Arabian Sea linked to an Iranian port. Sanctions have also tightened, adding another 35 people to the 1,000 blacklisted just in the last year. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the goal was to create gasoline shortages inside Iran, but impatience in the region is growing. Leaders from the Gulf Cooperation Council met in Jeddah, strongly condemning what they described as treacherous Iranian attacks and rejecting any attempt by Iran to place tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. But no sooner was the show of unity made than the UAE dropped a bombshell announcement. It was leaving OPEC. That's the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, a group which produces roughly 40% of the world's oil and has coordinated for decades to maintain the price. The UAE is the fourth largest producer in OPEC, but is felt restricted by limits on its own oil production and the growing influence of Russia on the group's decisions. It's also increasingly been critical of the GCC itself over their response to Iran.
موقف دول مجلس التعاون دعمت بعضها لوجستيا لكن من الناحية السياسية ومن الناحية العسكرية أعتقد أن الموقف كان الأضعف تاريخيا.
That's it from me today. Stay with us on Al Jazeera for all your updates in the war on Iran.